Hello, Mr. Ricky. How did your tour of the facility go? Fantastic. You have a really great facility here. We do aim to impress. Please, take a seat. Okay. I have to admit, your resume stood out. You have a master's in English and creative writing. Oh, you're a writer. That's fun. What do you write about? Anything I think that's important, and that's great. Oh, I think we have everything we need to make a final determination on your employment. Just a few more questions, and we can finalize your application and send it off to management for review. How does that sound? Perfect. I'm just happy for the opportunity. Okay, then. Question 1. Are you willing to work evenings? Anything the job requires. Nights are all right with me. Sorry, not all my jokes land. That's fun. We like to have fun here. Are you willing to work remote? I prefer it, actually. But anything you have would be fantastic. I'm willing to get in on the ground floor, if you know what I mean. I'm sure I don't. Question 3. What type of comic book collector are you? I'm sorry? I am a comic collector, if that's what you're asking. Okay, no worries. We have a simple role-playing exercise to help individuals unfamiliar with detailed questions such as these. Just answer the following question to the best of your abilities and honestly, if you can. I'll do my best. I hand you $2,000. Do you A, purchase $2,000 $1 comic books? B, purchase 4 $500 comic books? C, purchase 2 $1,000 comic books? Or the fourth, do you purchase 1 $2,000 comic book? Is there a single answer you're looking for? Would it be okay if I address the audience? Breaks the immersion of the bit, but if it helps you make your point, I'll allow it. Hey, it's Ricky from All Sorts of Words, and I've been thinking about this question a lot lately. What type of comic collector am I when it comes to how I spend my money? And that question is kind of how I've been rationalizing the different phases of collectors. You've got $2,000 in your hand right now, okay? It's in your hand. Imagine it. And you can buy A, 2,000 $1 comic books. B, 4 $500 comic books. C, 2 $1,000 comic books. Or D, 1 $2,000 comic book. Just to put it in context, 2,000 $1 comic books will get you partial runs. Things like you can get like a Spider-Man 235 to 300. I'm going to be honest. I don't know anything about Spider-Man. There's probably like some crazy expensive issue in there, but I think you know what I mean. Like the Heroes Reborn run of Captain America, a book. You can find it for sure. DC equivalent would be something like the current Action Comics run. There's actually a comic book store in Merrimack, New Hampshire that I used to frequent where they would take the new books off the wall after like 2 months and just fill the dollar bins. So if you were patient, you never had to buy books at cover price. You could always get them in the dollar bins. I wish more stores did that. For the $500 books, you could get like first appearance of Deadpool. You could get first Zatanna, a 9/8 copy of like Teen Titans 12, the first Batman Who Laughs. It's all over the place. This is where you get your most mix 'em up of different books, different characters. Then the $1,000 books. This is where you could get something like a really low grade Marvel Premiere 5, the first Ghost Rider. This is where you could get, I don't know, if you were a man of culture, like the first appearance of Wolverine, Hulk 180. which is the first appearance of Wolverine. Hulk 180. You could also get a really nice copy of Batman Adventures 12. Pick up your first Harley Quinn, something like that. The $2,000 books, that's when you get into like ultra grail territory. You could get a really low copy of the first Doctor Strange. You could get a really low copy of the first Justice League of America, Brave and the Bold 28. So here's the experiment. Here's how you can have fun with this question right now. Go into the comment section and say exactly what you are at this moment. You're not locked in forever. Just right now, what are you? A, B, C, or D? Then, in a couple weeks, couple months maybe, use this video as a time capsule. Come back, reply on your own comment, and talk about where you are now. Are you a $2,000 collector, a $1 collector? What's interesting about this is I've literally gone through all the phases in a row. In the very beginning, I just wanted to read again, man. I've been out of the hobby for so long. I just wanted to pick up books and read little runs and entertain myself that way. So that's where I ended up with the majority of things like Infinite Crisis. Nobody wanted to read that series at the time when I got back into comics because the Blue Beetle movie hadn't been announced yet, and I was having just a ball collecting those books. Most of the Death of Superman run, like most of it, is dollar book fodder. That was a great time, and they're fun reads. Death of Superman has definitely aged and is one of the worst things I've read, but there are pieces of it that are really fun. The $500 book arc came right after that, where that's when I was hunting down things like Batman 181, the first Poison Ivy, or Batman Adventures 12, my first Harley Quinn, that 5.0 that I have. That was my 500 phase. After that, my first $1,000 book I ever bought was my Adventure Comics 210, my crypto book that I love to death. It's since shot into the stratosphere and is definitely even beyond the $2,000 book range, but that's kind of the glory of a $1,000 book. It's really expensive, but not many people are buying it. So you get in and you can just watch the price slowly tick up and become unavailable to a large selection of collectors. Hey, I'm editing here, and I just wanted to make it clear that the joy doesn't come from the fact that other people can't collect it anymore. Like, the exclusivity doesn't get me off. It's watching your investment get more valuable, and I think I worded that poorly to make it sound like other people can't have it. I'm so awesome. That wasn't the point. I wish everybody could have every comic book, but they can't. Where I'm at now, today, is the $2,000 collector. That's my sweet spot. I've got one more unboxing on the horizon, and then literally for 1 year, I'm just going to be creating comic book content that isn't shopping. I'm going to visit stores. I'm going to go to cons when I can, but when it comes to actually parting with money, I'm just not going to be doing it. Because if I've done my calculations correctly, and I always do my calculations correctly, this time next year, I will have $14,000. That is an absurd amount of money to purchase single comic books with. But here's the kicker. I'm going to be going to a convention down in Mississippi. I'm just going to be bringing one bag. I'm not going to be checking anything, which means I am actually limited to what I can bring on a plane with me. I'm going to have all my clothes. I might have a Switch, stuff like that to keep myself entertained and, not naked over the weekend. But when I go back in the plane, I'm only going to have enough room for like 1 or 2 books, maybe 3, maybe 4. So these are going to be bangers. And I've been having so much fun lately, just kind of jumping on eBay and typing in the name of a book and pretending like if I saw the lowest grade copy that I could afford of this book at the convention, would I be okay having spent a year not buying anything and walking away with that one book? I'm not a Marvel reader. I'm not. But I grew up with Marvel comic books just like everybody else. Actually, when I met Stan Lee, that was what I told him. I said, you taught me how to read through Spider-Man. One day I'll tell that story. It's one of the most endearing stories I've heard about Stan Lee, and it happened to me. But like the 90s X-Men, who didn't watch that show, man? Everybody did. The 90s Spider-Man, who didn't watch that show? If you say you didn't, you're lying. Or you're a baby. Are babies watching this? Please don't watch this, babies. So it's completely feasible that I could, with cash, dump the whole load on like an X-Men 1. And that is a holy grail book for a lot of people. Could get me a lot of the DC books that I want. Or I could just ignore that. Take advantage of the fact that DC is always the bridesmaid and never the bride. And finally buy like a Showcase 22, first appearance of Hal Jordan, and the first appearance of the Justice League, all in one shot. I could do some crazy stuff with that type of money. And I've been thinking lately, though, that doesn't devalue anyone else who doesn't want to move through those steps. I saw it as a natural progression. You start with your dollar book, you move on to the bigger keys, you move on to the grails, now you're into the big boy book club. So I've been curious, because now that I have access to actual comic collectors and I have people to talk to about this hobby, do you guys find yourself bouncing around between the different levels? Do you go to the dollar bin and buy a 500, save up for 1,000, and once a year get a 2? Or are you just simply happy at the level 1 and getting the dollar books? Are you only saving for the big books? I saw this really awesome video that went into this new strategy that some people are trying, where they're just buying, they have like a list of 40 books. This is their top list, and nothing else matters. There's no runs, there's no single issues. If they want to read something, they'll buy a trade or get it from the library, but they're not buying other books outside of these 40. And so when they get big stacks of cash, all they do is trade and upgrade. So this guy, I think he was in his late 30s that I saw. By the time he's 50, he could be the guy with like a 6.0 everything. Fantastic Four, X-Men 1. Obviously, he was a Marvel collector, because they all are, or at least they all seem to be. Me, I'm a universe collector. I want one first appearance of everybody in the DC universe I can, because the universe is, in fact, my favorite character. Well, my favorite character is Crypto, but that's my real answer. When someone says, what's your favorite character, like glibly, I kind of respond, it's the DC universe. I want to turn the page to a splash and be like, I have every character in this appearance. I always get excited when I see that. Like, oh, it's the Huntress, Question, Mr. Miracle, Orion. I enjoy turning the page and seeing everybody that I already own the first appearance of. So let me know if what your path is, and play the game. Comment section. Tell me where you're at right now, what your philosophy is. Come back in a week. Throw it back up there. Come back in a year. Do it again. I'm really interested in seeing where this goes. I'm going to finish up with this guy. What do you think? Do I get the job? Why aren't you talking about Vampirella? I thought this was a Vampirella channel. God damn it.